Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever time in this world that you are at right now. Thank you guys for so much for joining us. You could have been anywhere in this world right now, but you decided to be with us, and we appreciate that. I am your host, Daniel Erwin, and this is the man, the myth, the legend, my co-host, Mr. David Harris.
What's up?
We are Carolina Ballistics and Training Academy, and this is our podcast. Guys, we have one hell of a show for you today. The theme of this show is going to be called Mastering the Transition. We have a very special guest. He's no stranger to the Fayetteville, North Carolina area, Mr. Sam Castillo. Everybody give a good round of applause for Mr. Sam Castillo. Sick. All right, Sam. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you to this space, time and space that we're in right now? What is your journey? Tell us.
I'm still kind of wondering that myself.
Yeah.
And out of the random spinning objects in this universe, Here we are. So I came to Fayetteville back in 2004 to start the Special Forces qualification course. I was stationed in Germany prior to that. Again, that's what brought me to Fort Bragg.
Yeah.
And we got here in 2004 and been here ever since.
Wow.
And I've kind of bounced around with my job in the military, but again, the family's been based here ever since. And where to go from there? So I was in the Army. I joined in 1997.
Wow.
And retired back in 2017. So haven't done 20 years. Post-retirement, based on what the government was willing to give me after that 20 years, I've decided to take my life savings and start this business, the Rock Guns here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Yeah, what else? So one thing I'll say is thought occurred to me. I grew up in the military. My dad was a warrant officer, so we moved around every 3 years. Never had roots. Don't have anywhere to call home, so the strangest event in my life is to, having been here so long, when I retired from the Army, we can go anywhere we want, do whatever we want. Yeah. But something about this town just drew me in, and I've never wanted to leave ever since.
Wow.
Pretty interesting, man, because it's not what I anticipated as a young person. But then again, show me a picture of me now compared to what I thought it would be when I was younger. I'm like, never believe it. I'm like, you're full of it. Yeah. What drugs are you taking?
So my question would be, why guns? Why the Rock Guns? Like you said, because post-military, you took everything and you bet on you, which is I am all about betting on self.
So this is actually my fourth attempt at a business.
Okay.
The first three crashed and burned so badly. It's like what I like to say. There's $250,000 I'll never see again.
Wow.
But a lot of hard lessons learned. And for some reason, as I was getting close to retirement from the Army, I knew that I wanted to be my own boss.
Yeah.
And I knew that I enjoy teaching, connecting with people, building community is the only way I think to say it. And I just loved it, man. Go ahead.
No, my question is going to be, when you transitioned and you started business, what skills do you think translated well?
Oh, absolutely.
And what skills didn't translate at all from the military to civilian life?
All right. Can I be candid here?
Yeah, of course. That's what we want.
This is the most wild thing. I know whoever hears this might say, he's full of shit.
Right. One of my fears all the time is someone being like, I say something, they're like, dumbass.
Exactly, right? And we all do it. We can't help it. So, anyways, man, I spent 20 years in the Army, and I'll say this, man. I guess it started as a kid because I moved around all the time. So I was always a new kid. I was always, never had a group that I grew up with. Best friends riding bikes and crap, right? So, I guess I would say I did learn to be adaptable at a young age, which is what drew me to what I did in the Army. I joined the Army to do a 3-year contract, 4 years, to get a job skill that I could then use on the outside. Yeah. And my first job in the Army, I worked on computers and networks and had a top secret clearance. And again, I was going to do 3 years, get out, we're done. But then I was lucky enough to go to Bosnia in the late 90s and come across these strange people with long hairs, Oakleys, and pistols stuck to their pants. And I started learning more about that. And that's what inspired me to, go to Special Forces selection kind of thing. All that being said, I think adaptability is the first thing that's going to help you through your Army experience.
Yeah.
Again, being able to function in dynamic environments.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's done on purpose, and basic training will pull you off the bus and start making life living hell.
Yeah.
And just to assess where everyone is in that. And I guess being adaptable is one of the big things.
Yeah.
And I think that's a universal statement, is the power of being adaptable. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like people who are rigid in their thought process, or rigid in how they go on about their lives, they tend to have a tougher go at the experience of life. My wife has a stepfather who used to always say, things always change. You know what I'm saying?
The only constant is change.
Exactly. It's changed itself.
Yeah,
Absolutely. When it comes to an individual having to adapt, that is an incredible talent for somebody to develop. Like,
it's got to start early on, too.
Yeah,
I think it's fundamental in the psychological development process for most people is the study I read about early life experiences kind of shape who we are as adults. And kind of two examples is you could have an unexpected thing happen, and based on your early life experience, that could have been a negative outcome. Holy shit, Dad just hit Mom.
Yeah.
Or it could have been a positive outcome. Happy birthday, surprise party, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
And environment drives a lot of that. So I think I was fortunate enough. I was, blessed, lucky, however you want to put it, to grow up in a pretty positive environment where I felt like at an early age, I was free to roam the country. I think I was 8 or 9 years old when my dad being military, we were in South Korea.
Yeah.
Oh.
And in the shopping center, because you could buy, 3-piece suit for $100.
How has that shaped your perception of life in connection with the change that you've gone through?
Yeah, well, I think it's, again, adaptability is the key word here, like being able to adjust to that change. So, I guess how you process that is important. So I would say, again, getting out of the military, number one, my advice to any young person approaching anything in life, but hey, I want to join the Army. What's your advice? Have a plan.
Yeah.
I joined the Army with no plan. Okay. I was just going to take advantage of the government, get out. But what kept me in the Army was the people, the relationships, the opportunities to just travel the world, see interesting things. And I realized here's a great place to take advantage of that. So the Army to me was never I'm going to retire sergeant major, or I'm going to hit these end states and goals. It was just like, hey, that looks interesting. Let me go try it.
Yeah.
So that's always been my approach to life.
So I'll ask the question on community. You mentioned it a couple of times.
Yeah, big time.
So my question is, and it's I guess a two-parter would be, okay, so I would say I call it the why of what we do.
Right.
So like the rock guns, you have to build the community from there and out. Yep. So like talk about that kind of thing and the community you're trying to you foresee the rock being able to imprint and help build out here.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've never read Simon Sinek, check out some of his stuff.
Yeah.
And kind of ran its course, because I don't think he's doing anything like groundbreaking more. But he started with the book. Start with why. Like why are you here? What's your function?
Yeah.
And it kind of ties into what we were talking about the other day with my 3 C's concept. What is it? Capability. Are you useful?
Yeah.
Standing right here in this room, right?
Yeah.
And then what is it? Community. Not only what are you trying to build, family, business, team cohesion, whatever it is, where you are on the planet Earth, and finally character. What's your end state for this?
Yeah.
And what am I trying to do? And I tell people, I mentioned how I tried 3 other businesses before I ended up here. And in the Army, I went from military intelligence, computer geek, I fixed computers and stuff like that. Right?
All right. I was a computer geek.
Yeah. I was nerding out on ones and zeros. And then I switched over to Army Special Forces and became a medic, SF medic, 18 Delta. What did I? It was a new experience. I wanted to kind of broaden my horizons. And again, talk about community. What drew me to that environment in SF was kind of the original mandate you read in books. Like, we're there to go build relationships, establish communities. And I was thinking the other day too, it's funny if you look at the Bible, right? Like, Jesus had how many apostles? 12. And what was their mandate once Jesus ascended back into heaven, go around the world and build churches?
Proselyte.
It was crazy, like this
spread the
capability.
word.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it all goes to again, wherever we stand on the planet Earth, what are we building? Like, what
To
are we
improve the community.
creating? And kind of think a godly characteristic is creating things. Whether again it's a family, a business. I drew this cool picture. Check it out. Right. And I think of kind of like this moral framework to work on. It doesn't have to be God, Satan. It can be look at your behavior at this moment. Is it creating something or is it destroying? And
So, like,
just based on that,
along
we
with
can
that,
focus on the
that
direction of this
concept.
thing.
I think that's an incredible space that I wanted to explore a little bit in connection with as individuals building our community. I've been reading a lot on Aristotle, and he had a concept on virtue of ethic. And he was talking about basically the reason to be like a virtuous person, a person that strives to do the right thing for the greater of the community. The outcome is a state of eudaimonia. Eudaimonia.
What does that word mean?
Basically, it's a state of you've achieved. You're constantly striving to better yourself. You're constantly striving to better your community.
Right.
You're never settling for any aspect of your person. And you basically are able to go to sleep knowing that you're being the best person that you can possibly be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that is an incredible mind frame that you're kind of touching on in connection with improving the community.
Yeah, again, like not like what do you leave behind, what's your legacy? I'm so badass.
Yeah.
It's just a
personal
matter of like, again, like from the base relationships and you got me fired up, man.
Go for it.
Kind of going back around, it's like what I think back. My first, I was an 18 Delta, so taught cool stuff, right? Medicine, all that stuff. And my first idea for business, I'm going to work with somebody and help create this business to go take over the medical training world. And me being a short-sighted, insecure, overconfident jerk had a really negative effect on the organization. So I was the bad news there because my ego was running the whole thing. So I said, you know what? I could do this better. I'll start my own company. And what was running everything? My ego. Let me show the world how badass Sam is. And then finally the third business, which didn't go anywhere because once again, I was in my own way. And I tell people like with the rock guns, opening our doors in 2018, I'll tell people it was never about the guns. And I was not a gun guy. I didn't fix guns on my free time. You know, I wasn't even 18 Bravo, right? Like, I didn't give a crap about that. So, but more important, I saw a need in the community that could be served. And I knew that it was taking a huge risk because who doesn't know how to work on guns in this community? Who doesn't
know
have all
somebody?
The answers? Exactly. So there's every garage in here has a vise and every tool to build an AR kind of thing. So kind of building on that, you're occupying this space. You're useful. But at this moment, if you want to stand out, well, tell me what makes you so special, right? Like here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, hey, I was a Green Beret. So what?
It's about $1 million. You know.
So, and the Aristotle piece and the thing will be, and this would be a personal belief, honestly, or opinion.
Absolutely.
It would be saying, I think you should never, like you said, go to sleep thinking like I'm being the best I could be. I disagree with that in the thoughts of, I'm never going to be the person that I can
strive to be.
I heard it, and it's a cliche thing, but a guy said, and it's a famous actor said it on, and it's on like inspiration, but he says, my hero is me in 10 years. Like I'm always striving to become better.
I think that's Matthew McConaughey.
That's him. And so in my life, I'm like, hey, I got to improve a little bit of me every day.
Absolutely.
And it might sound small. And then on top of, like you said, going into business, one of the things that I think people lose is interaction. Like you may not buy anything, but I don't want you to buy anything. I don't care if you buy something. I want to interact with you. So when you walk out of here, you have a great interaction with me.
Absolutely.
And then guess what? 5 years from now, you may come back and be like, hey, remember that store? Hey, let's go there to buy this now that we know they're there and we know that, but I want that interaction because I may be the only person you ever meet that represents that company.
Exactly.
And if that's a
building
horrible
community.
Like, I'm the only SF guy or Green Beret you ever met, and I'm a jerk. That's what you think SF guys are.
Exactly. And absolutely, man. All of this going to like, I guess, like, what's your moral foundation that you live by, right? Like, what are your left and right limits inside of that, and how does that impact the business, for example? And for me, like with this business, like I say, it wasn't about guns. It was about answering a need in the community.
Yeah.
And I say need because I should have said like want or desire kind of thing. But one thing I'll say, man, is I remember being in the Q course and went to a gun store here in town. The guy behind the counter was like, "Oh, you're in the Q course. What are you trying to be?" "Oh, I did that in the Army." And then he started just beating me up like,
"Oh, wow.
Oh, you're this rank. Why didn't you get there faster? I did this in so long, and I did this in the military, and I was so badass. And why haven't you done that yet? You suck at this. Do you even deserve to be in the Q course?" Right?
An insecure person.
I just came here to look at a fucking Kimber, bro. And all that to say is, I just feel like my intent again was to provide something that people want. They come in and say, I've been looking for this and I found it.
Yeah.
But more importantly, like you said, to provide a place where you walk in and what's the typical response around here, especially with firearms, is I know more than you. I'll tell you what you want, you idiot private in the 82nd, right? Yeah. And that doesn't fly, man.
No. Yeah.
And I guess, again, like you said, how we approach people and what are we trying to build. And for me, it's not about making money selling guns. It's about creating a space where people want to be because we provided that 5 minutes of conversation to answer this question so you don't spend too much money. We'll kick you down the street to save money at another gun store if we don't provide that for you. It's about providing what you want. What's the saying? Like, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm on a roll. They say that when I go to Lowe's, I'm not paying for the drill. I'm paying for the hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the means to get there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my dream, is not to be like the answer to guns, screw everybody else, the typical mentality around here. It's about, well, how can we work with these guys and these guys to create exactly what you need?
Yeah.
And that's the big thing.
And I think we had a conversation. I think it was about a month ago. And we were talking about, focusing on money, and people who focus on money, they tend not to achieve their objective. You know what I'm saying? But when you have like that higher objective, you'll end up getting what of course you're going to get the money, you're going to get
it's what is it? Money should be a side effect
exactly
of what
you're doing.
The end state.
And, especially if your objective is to improve the community. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
What is it like? Someone in some how we follow these Facebook groups and all that stuff, and it's one of these stupid business things where we're all showing off how good our businesses are doing together and all that stuff. But that was one of the things, what's your dream as a business owner?
Yeah.
And people are putting to make $1 million this next year, to do better on my tax returns, or not hire such fucking idiots, whatever they're saying in the comments. And I wrote, my dream as a business is to one day have the whole community gather around us as we overthrow the bad business leaders city government. Again, we all join together to save the day at the end because of who we are and what we provide. And again, I didn't do this for the money. And my wife, one day I said that and she goes, "Be cooler if you did." And we all understand that a desire, that's what we all need to live. But again, I think, like you said, serving a higher purpose. And that's what drives guys to do certain things in the military. I'm spinning my wheels here. I need a higher purpose. And what is it? If you've never read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, please go read that right away.
Wow.
Because he has a lot of good points about kind of not what's your purpose, because that's such a too broadly used term nowadays, but it's again, what drives you? What's your end state you're working toward? And
I'm
that's going to translate in everything else you do.
I'm conflicted with that concept of your purpose, because people will say my purpose is be the greatest piano player. There's a Disney show that
well, if that's what you want it to be, fucking identify and fucking nail it, dude.
So there's this Disney show that came out. I don't know if y'all saw it. It's called Soul.
Okay, no.
So you never seen it? It's great. I suggest you watch it. It's magnificent.
It's about jazz or something.
Yeah. The lead character, his purpose in life was to be the greatest piano player in his life, and he ended up just being an extremely exceptional middle school piano teacher.
What is it? Mr. Holland's Opus. There was a movie in the 90s about that.
Yeah.
Again, it's I was going to be the best musician in history kind of thing, but he ends up being an instructor. But at the end of his life, he realizes the impact he had versus being big and famous. He affected hundreds of lives in a positive way.
Yeah.
So it brings me back to the why. And we can say, hey, but no matter what, why? So even if I say, hey, I want to be the greatest, and for me, I want to be the best shooter ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but why?
Yeah, what drives that
behavior?
Like,
okay, so when you become that, what is that going to do? Why is that important?
Yeah,
and here's the reality is, if once you accomplish whatever the purpose is, if you don't understand the why behind it, then how can you impact others?
Yeah.
And most things we do in life are built to impact others' lives. And what I mean is like, hey, money don't buy happiness. Money makes happiness easier, but it don't buy it.
It's more comfortable crying in a Mercedes.
As I cry in my Bugatti.
So how do you get there? How do you say, okay, I want to impact people's lives, and how important is money a part of that, and why am I doing what I'm doing? I think a lot of people get hooked up on money because that's their why.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm doing this to make money. Well, then you might not be happy.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's cool, man. Like, I used to be kind of like, well, that idiot is driven by money. That idiot's driven by women and attention, or whatever it is. But that's cool, man. Do your thing.
But I will say this, from military and business, maybe you could speak to that on the outside, is I have this spending too much time on negativity. And I think like, if my drive is money, then when things go wrong, I dwell on the negative because my drive isn't, because what I want isn't coming to me because it's negative. Like, hey, I ain't making a lot of money because 5 people came. Well, if my job is because I became the best shooter ever so I could teach others.
Right.
And then 5 people come, guess what? I didn't make a lot of money, but I still get to teach others.
And
that's
what is
an incredible point.
I just started an audiobook, Good to Great.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've listened or read that, but he talks about level 5 leaders. And again, it's not the person who's, there's leaders and managers kind of thing.
Yeah.
And again, I have this bigger vision. And here's the thing about it. And I remember one of my favorite memories of SF selection is walking up to the log PT day, and you're standing in that big pit with all these logs, and they're lining everybody up. And I look up at this instructor. He's standing there, arms crossed, and behind him the sign says, "Obstacles are the things we see when we take our mind off our goals."
Wow.
Yeah.
And I love it because it's kind of like, understand that whatever you strive for, there will be obstacles.
Yeah.
If you look at the history of the rock guns, I was telling someone the other day, it shouldn't exist on paper.
Yeah.
Wow.
From day one, banks looked at my stuff and they said, "Screw you. Have a nice day." Right?
Wow.
"We love what you're doing. It looks so great, but absolutely not. Are you crazy?"
Yeah.
Okay, have a nice day. So it's not for the risk averse to go down this road.
Yeah.
And if you're risk averse, understand that early on so you initiate things in your life to support that. So instead of starting a business, I would have gone into contracting or found a GS job, right?
Yeah.
And nothing changes, it's still 9 to 5, and I can afford that camper so I can go on cross-country trips during my 2-week vacation. But that might be your jam, dude. Go for it. Build your family, play baseball with your kids, coach the team, and live a great life. But that's not what drove me.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, it's kind of like building this place to come where you're welcome. And I love it because we get guys who start out as customers, then a month later they're helping out in the back, and then a year later they're there on a Saturday doing gunsmithing because they've just hung around. And I feel like they're not driven by like, Sam's gonna get me this or that. It's just being around the guys. If you haven't been there, please come visit the store, right? Because you kind of get that when you get there.
Yeah.
One thing I wish I did is my dream, bar and grill. Because I just want to hang out at the bar all day, serve drinks, and talk to people. I fucking love talking to people.
Okay.
And just getting to know them.
Yeah.
But I'll say another thing, and I'm sorry if I'm all over the map.
No.
Well, but one thing I love about this store.
Yeah.
Okay. What we have there. We had a guy walk in, older than me.
Yeah.
And he looks like probably a grandfather and just a older guy hanging out. And I look at his hat and it says, Just Cause, Operation Just Cause. It's like, hey, cool, man, you're Just Cause veteran. And he's like, I was a jump master in the door when we jumped on that airfield.
Oh, wow.
And he started telling me, and just casually, it's not like, no shit, there I was. It's just like, I was in the door and it was rad because, I'm holding the getting everyone ready to go, and this C-141 or some crazy airplane, and he's seeing the green tracers go across the runway, and he was the guy, hey, let's do this.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting. Out of the blue, I run into this guy.
Yeah.
And he tells me this quick story, not showing off, but hey, we're veterans. We've been there, done that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you just have that connection. And it could be the kid who just got back from a European vacation they took over there, right? Interesting stories from that group, too. Again, that Vietnam vet who says, you know what? I did this in Vietnam with SF or whoever. And it's just wild, like, to see how we're all connected beyond just living in Fayetteville and trying to get on with their lives. And that's what's most important to me about this business. So I feel like this is the first step in creating more of this space where people can just show up and be who they are.
Do you think that your background influenced where you are and how you developed the rock? Do you think that feeling of being like not part of a specific group influenced in how you develop the rock?
Oh, absolutely. It's paramount. What it was, I was thinking the other day, it's like so funny because like in high school, like you're not this, so you stay out of that group, right? Or however, and then you join the Army and it's like, oh, you're regular Army, well, you're not SF, Then you get to SF, oh, you're SF, but are you in this company?
It just keeps going down.
And it's like everyone fucking does it. Tribalism, as Stephen Pressfield likes to call it. You name it, we just naturally do that. It's like I never fit in anywhere. So it's like, you know what? I'm not the only person like this. And I'm not saying like this is my campaign and calling. You guys brought it out today. I appreciate it.
No, you're good. You're good.
Kind of realizing it's, again, I just wanted a welcoming space.
Yeah.
Away from home, right? That's what we create at home, but a place to hang out, man. And at the very least, come bullshit with us. And I wish I could serve beer in that place. Pour beer with bullshit for an hour, and you can't buy anything today, but just come hang out.
North Carolina.
Imagine this: you go in there, you have the same awesome retail space, classrooms to one side leading to an indoor range, followed by, when you're done, a bar and grill.
In the back. All the way up.
That'd be sweet.
In a VIP lounge upstairs, where after you're done with the range, you can watch down to the other lanes while you drink a couple beers. So, like, we can create this space, and I feel like this is what Fayetteville, North Carolina needs. And there's so much potential for Fayetteville, North Carolina, but what do people do on weekends who live here? I'm going to Southern Pines, Wilmington, somewhere else. Why haven't we
created that here? And
that's a big issue, I think, in this community is for so long we've been beat up with how much it sucks. No one wants to improve it. And again, it's easy. Well, let me just leave. And I'm not faulting people for doing that.
It's just kind of the standard.
For some reason, man, I feel this need to like plant my feet and say, let's make Fayetteville a rad place. Let's encourage this river walk to be built downtown, more restaurants, and like less restrictions on business owners so they can create restaurants downtown and not get ripped by the government kind of thing. And people want to gather. I saw that at the Dogwood Festival. People want to get out and interact with each other. We just need to provide more resources for that, in my opinion.
I really wanted to touch on a subject.
Fire the hell up, man.
Yeah, I know, man.
No, you're good.
I wanted to talk on your book. Did you want to talk on that, or did you still want to keep that under wraps for now?
Well, I was wanting to until you said that. But seriously, I have it in mind to express my thoughts in the form of a public publication, a book. And again, we were talking the other day. It started with one day I was thinking about, I have 4 kids. And again, my mandate as their father is to prepare them for moving into the outside world and once again, building, creating, contributing to that. And it started with this idea I had of I was thinking about how can we, the well-rounded individual, right? Like the Renaissance man. I like to tell people how the samurai in Japan, what are they famous for? Shooting arrows from horses and being crazy with swords. But another thing they kind of a requirement kind of thing was poetry. Like you had to be well-rounded. So it's that stupid quote you see everywhere on social media, like if you can't think but you can fight, then the vice versa, then the fucking smart people are going to run the idiots.
Well, they always leave it short. What is the quote? I'd rather be a jack of all trades and then a master of none, and they say that. But what's the rest of the quote?
I don't know.
See, so the rest of the quote goes something similar to this, and you can look it up. I'm not 100% going to verbatim it, but it says, but the jack of all trades is still being better than the master of none.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So you could be a master of one trade, but I would rather be really good at a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because then, guess what? If I'm really good at a lot, you can plug me in different spots. If you're really good at one thing, if I don't need you for that one thing, you're no good.
So write down. And I'm not stealing from you, but
He said a yank.
Hey, copyright that what I just put out there.
Exactly.
Copyright that.
Yeah. You heard it here first. Yeah. But let me try to tell a story here.
Yeah.
Back in several years ago, I went up to a place in Minnesota. It's a boys camp.
Yeah.
A summer camp called Camp Coochie Ching up there in northern Minnesota in International Falls. And I remember going there just to teach the counselors who were going to deal with the kids that year, wilderness first responder, first aid and some advanced skills for the guys taking these kids on weeks-long wilderness trips up into Canada. And I remember day one of meeting these guys, they were just a bunch of young guys in their 20s, college kids kind of thing. I remember introduced ourselves, had the thing, took a 10-minute break, and by the end of that 10-minute break, there's a raging fire going, there's cookies on the table, there's fresh coffee made, and everyone, as soon as we hit a break, they scattered and came back, and they just had the spread, and they're ready to learn. And every day, I just got to see these guys, these young men. They were fit, they knew how to do things, they could make fires, they could do all these skills that just translate to
Life.
Everything, right? And they were really good people, and they were very accommodating. And I say that, I was like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah.
So I got more involved with them, loved that organization. I sent my son up there, and what that brings me to is it made me think about in the military prior to deployments, you went through your pre-mission training and all that stuff, and like the big requirements before I focus on the task, can I shoot, move, communicate, and do medical, right?
Yeah.
So I started thinking about that one day. How does that translate to a balanced human being?
Yeah.
And again, shoot, can I protect myself? Why do I carry a firearm overseas? It's less about killing people, more about saving my ass when the shit hits the fan, right? And that's for most military units. I know there's other organizations out there. But that being said, can I defend myself? What am I physically fit? Do I know basic techniques to keep someone away from me? Am I just aware enough to avoid that bad situation in the first place?
Yeah.
All right, then move. Am I physically fit? Can I move from point A to point B? Can I pick up my kids, carry up the stairs, that kind of stuff? Communicate. We talk about radios and having all that stuff, but in my mind, it's interacting with other humans. Can I speak clearly? Can I convey thoughts clearly so other people understand me? Can I work in a group and understand that stuff? And then finally, medical. Can I stop someone from bleeding to death right here in front of me? Heard of the Stop the Bleed campaign. Do I know CPR? Can I try to preserve life until medical professionals arrive? If I can't do those 4 basic tasks, what does it matter what else I can do?
You know, I had a friend recently that asked me about, you know, he has a 21-year-old daughter, and she speaks a dialect of Arabic. And he was like, yeah, I think she wants to go to Lebanon. And I was like, you gonna send your 21 daughter to Lebanon now?
Well, what's she gonna be doing there?
I think she's trying to be like a missionary kind of deal.
Cool, man. Train her up and send her.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the issue for me is that a lot of people, they think that the American concept of life is like everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
I think it's interesting because you just immediately made the assumption that this young lady cannot function over there because she's American. Do you know her?
Oh yeah.
And do you think that's the case, where she doesn't understand the world around her?
I think it's more of a lack of awareness of what it is like outside of this country.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You feel like she's not mentally prepared
ready for
based on your experience with this young lady.
Exactly.
Are you sure about that? Because has she gone through any? If she's going to be a missionary, those people tend to plan really well. Yeah. Way better than I've seen so many military guys do. But seriously, they tend to plan really well and understand what they're getting into, from what vaccinations do I need to, again, what's the situation on the ground. They don't go in blind. Yeah. And I think that's an assumption a lot of people have about missionaries.
And I think that's probably what it is for me, is that I'm like,
you're just afraid that she's unprepared.
Yeah, that she's not prepared for what could happen You know what I'm
is
saying?
anyone ever prepared for anything? Were you prepared? You had kids, right?
Yeah.
You read about it.
Yeah.
You read about it, but were you prepared to be a dad?
Yeah.
Were you prepared
true.
to be there when that first one came along? Fuck no.
So, my question: are we talking about her, or are you trying to talk about the American psychology?
The American psychology
Right.
Of what we look at as
what we're
okay, so I think what we're getting at is way bigger than this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because we start digging into that, you're going to talk about a lot of things. One thing that always, and I don't want to get into this on a soapbox, but one thing always makes me kind of
I love soapboxes.
yeah gets irritated is okay.
Crap.
People yell about like how they're Americans and they're proud of this and they're proud of that, and I say okay, but what have you done for the country?
Right.
And I don't mean you as in like, but I'm like only 1% of this country is served in armed forces. Yeah. So have you invented something? Have you done like
what have you contributed?
Yeah, what have you contributed so where you could be so adamant to tell that person they don't deserve to be here? Like what have you done to tell them that?
It's like, oh man, I remember getting so mad once on a deployment where it is an Afghanistan trip and out in the middle of nowhere where they have to go every morning, go get their big things of water, and walk 2 miles back to the house, and that was your thing for the day. And kind of talking to these locals, an American soldier there was kind of like, "Oh, that fucking sucks," that kind of mentality. And they're like, "I'm so sorry." The person looks at them like, "What are you talking about?" Like frame of reference. And we tend to condescend because we feel like we're way more advanced than everyone else around the world based on the way we're kind of conditioned in that manner.
I would, and this is just like living here in this country compared to like other places. Like we're arguing about certain things that aren't even like a concept of debate in other lands. You know
right?
What
is it? You want to watch a really cool show and watch psychology? America's Next Top Model, man. Dude, you've heard of it. Come on, you guys are married. You've seen it.
I watched it.
An awesome show, man, because you see like the real person develop and how they approach things. Like, this is great exercise in psychology, but there's one episode where some girl's crying about the food or something, and another girl from like Romania or Russia, and she's sitting here complaining, and then she goes, some people have war in their country. Like, on
a consistent
but
basis.
It's all frame of reference, man. And I think that's one thing that I'm getting fired up again, man. One thing that drives me up the wall is I don't want to say it's a veteran thing, but a lot of veterans have this mentality like, oh, you're average American, you don't know what the world's like, and that's not fair.
That's not fair.
And another thing I'll say is like these kids these days, how many parents and old people say that? And it's like, well, what have you as that elder person done to change that? Like, are you and it's not this like just have a conversation and show them pictures, but like, are you developing an understanding of the bigger picture in your children and your family and the groups that you're with? Or are you just feeding that by doing keg stands on Saturday?
Well, you expose them to it. And I think that's the biggest problem is that as a community, and I mean as a community and sounds weird, but something we talk about is community, and you expose them to, hey, you have mother and father, but everyone don't live like that. And this guy might be hungry and didn't eat breakfast this morning, and you gotta. And I mean,
oh man,
but your kids don't understand that,
right?
And then guess what? You need to expose them to that, because it's a thing about sympathy and empathy, right?
Absolutely.
And I want you to understand where other people are coming from. One of the fears I think most parents, because our job as parents is what? To provide and give them the best opportunity, and better than we had it. Like that's all we're trying to do. And then I tell my kids, you need to be better than me. I've done a lot. I'm trying to do more, so you can do more.
My job is to build that platform so you exceed that.
Now, but the downside of that is now when the platform gets to a point, and maybe it's not mine, maybe it's the next one, and the platform is so good for the last one.
They get lazy.
It's like, you also have to have your kids understand. You're not like my daughter works, and she hasn't spent a dime of any of her paychecks. She's been working 6 months.
Oh, that must be nice.
6 months.
Exactly.
But here's the thing: she goes and draws all her money, and she puts it in a safe. And I talk trash to her, but I'm like, hey, here's the deal: when I was your age, I bought my own school clothes with that job I had to have because my mom couldn't do that. You live in a situation where you could just save all your money, and now you're like, help me count it. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. But she don't have to spend a dime, and no one's making you spend a dime.
True.
But understand the situation because I don't want you to think like everyone gets to do this. No. And guess what? Once you turn a certain age, I'm going to turn that off too and be like, you got all this, you got a job.
Absolutely.
Pay your own bill.
Me and my wife homeschool our kids.
Yeah.
One thing I've learned is that it's not about curriculum. It's not about, what you're doing more. It's not about all that. It's get them to read.
Yeah.
Reading young makes such a difference. And I'm real quick plug author Jennifer Nielsen. She writes like young teenage girl type books, but one my daughter read and then I read it too. It's about a young Jewish girl in Poland in World War II sneaking into the ghettos, and it ends with this girl being shot while in a gunfight. And in that, it's a history lesson. Yeah. And there's several other books, where you learn that these are real people doing real things. Yeah. And it's interesting to watch my 11-year-old. One was about the Cold War and the Berlin Wall, and she's like, now she's on her own going to learn more about that stuff, watching YouTube videos, going online, then she'll kind of talk about it. And here's principles you've read about and learned and you can apply when you interact with other people.
Yeah. So I guess I'm going to ask the question on when you transitioned out of the military, and the Army has all these programs like Boots to Business and all that kind of stuff. You think those programs are really beneficial, or you like, hey, I learned more from doing than someone telling?
Yeah.
Obviously, usually absolutely. That's always the case, but what do you think of that?
I didn't learn anything from Boots to Business.
Oh, man.
All right. So you took the program.
Yes, I took the program. And when I was transitioning, I remember I learned early on the Army is a system. Yeah. So once you learn how the system works, it's yours to own. So like in basic training, instead of 1 hour to make phone calls home, I'm on the phone for like 4 hours because I like how I can sneak down to the other phone. But all that to say, when I was transitioning, you're supposed to do a week of like, here's how to become a civilian and the stupid job interviews and resume writing and shit. And I had a business at the time, so I went up to the person in charge and said, hey, check it out. Here's my business. Here's my articles, and I'm a real deal, so I don't need this crap. She's like, okay, I'll see you Friday.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
I didn't go through all that crap.
All right.
But then I had to take the Boots to Business and let me see what I can learn from this. And I met 1 or 2 people and learned some resources out there. That was it.
But nothing groundbreaking.
No, man, because it's...
Wow.
All right, so this is my perspective.
No.
Sam, so you want to call me full of shit, go right ahead.
No.
I've been called worse things by better people. But seriously, it's like, for me, my perspective of the Boots to Business when I took that was, here's someone who's going to come tell me their success story. I did this in the Army. I was a major in this field, and then I got out, and then I started this, consulting company or whatever, and now I'm a multimillionaire, but I gave that up to come back and be a GS for the Army and brief you knuckleheads 3 times a week. It's like, something doesn't matter. But anyway, like, it was a lot of like, this is the awesome that I did, have fun. Yeah. But I didn't really get... And there's like, hey, here's a website to go to. Here's
they're not really investing in you.
Yeah, and they don't have time. It's like, it's a big system. There's 50s in there and 2 people trying to point you in the right direction. Yeah. So maybe it's a good place to build a framework or resources. Yeah. But as far as like how to run a business, how to transition into that, what's the big one I see with veterans nowadays is like a lot, like I said, have a plan. A lot of people join the military when they're young and impressionable, and the military conditions them. Yeah. Wow. When they get out of the military, that's all they've known. Yeah. So that's what they hold on to. And how many classes have I taught where the instructor wants to make the life of these civilian students a living hell because I was in this organization and killed this many people. And I'm so badass versus actually giving them something they could take home and process and learn, understand the concept of this system so they can apply those skills. Does that make sense?
No, I think what you're saying, and tell me if I'm picking it up wrong, is that a lot of guys that teaching and stuff make it about themselves instead of making it about the clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that. I'm sure you've seen that. Yeah. That's cool, man. That's your jam, and people are going to compensate for it. That's your fucking deal.
But if I pay you money, it ain't about you. It's about me, bro. Like, teach me.
But what I love about business, if what you're providing doesn't relate and translate to the customer, you're not going to survive.
Yeah,
that's true.
And I think a lot of people do get kind of hung up on like, how does this make me look? You know, we live in the world of social media in which everything is for like clout and recognition and me, kind of attention.
It's the what base male instinct. Respect me, know me,
exactly,
love me, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but that doesn't help translate to the community.
It doesn't help,
no.
and it doesn't help translate into cash either. Because if people pick up on that and they're like, I'm not gonna write you a positive review, or I'm not gonna come back here.
People understand when you're genuine.
Yeah.
That translates really quickly.
Yeah.
And high pressure sales, you don't have to be genuine. You just like knock them off balance and continue to use that momentum to push them into that sale.
Yeah.
And again, that's not how we want to function as an organization.
That's guerrilla tactics.
I don't want to function as a human that way.
Yeah.
But some people choose that. But I think it's just the long game is how you think of it, right?
Oh yeah, you got to.
Yeah, that's
just
crazy.
Thinking long term, man. I used to ask people, man, would you be willing to give up everything you have right now and live close to what we call poverty, if you knew your kids were going to do better than you?
Yeah,
how many people are willing to do that? Some people
I would say but this is a statement, and I dare anyone to see with your wife. Women will not step down their standard of living. I don't care what you tell me. A woman, and this is a bold statement, and I stand by it.
I guess this is going to be our last episode.
Women will not stand down, take a step down in their standard of living. You get her up here, you're stuck up there. Hey, you want to leave her and take half? Nope, you're going to give her the house.
It depends on the woman. I would say, let's... Do I accept this as a broad generalization or generalization about broads? Man.
80%. Give me an 80%.
There is a percentage of people like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. But there's that's not always the case. But I understand your point.
I think,
and again,
but men in
security
society
being a big thing. What is it? What's the thing? Like, men want respect. At the end of the day, women want security.
Yes.
Am I being taken care of? So, again, being an entrepreneur, not for the risk averse.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And I like to joke around as an entrepreneur. You know what's rad? Is you got guys who wear like wingsuits and jump off cliffs and do all this rad. But, they're putting themselves at risk, and we respect that, and that's cool. But entrepreneur, I'm taking 5 mothers with me. You're coming with me. And, they have no say in that, man. Yeah. And I think that's something to think about because, it's to succeed, in my opinion, tying into that is it has to be for something higher than
for sure
me looking awesome or me making money because I've spent the last 5 years of my life being called every name by everybody and being that person. Everyone's like, because this loser, right? No one gives a shit about you. And so don't think your name or credentials are going to mean anything because for every person is like, that's a good dude. There's 3 motherfuckers like that guy, right? And that's just the nature of things, man. So you have to understand that it needs to be something bigger than that, bigger than you. And I feel like that's what survives. But you also need the enthusiasm, the faith that it will come about. Yeah. Because the first 3 years in business was bad. I mean...
Yeah, I think they say that for most
working a full-time other job,
Yeah.
only to make sure this thing stayed afloat.
Yeah.
And again, there's Miss Castillo saying, "What the hell are you doing?" And, I don't know. Yeah. But I mean all that because a commitment you need to make, and if you're not willing to take that risk and know that things are bad, like I have $0, I'm in debt. This can go under tomorrow if we don't make this number.
Yeah.
It sucks, but just like anything worth having, there's pain involved.
Yeah,
I think Denzel Washington made a quote on that in connection with if you're going to fail forward.
Well, but no, and understand failure's a part of it as well. Like, show me a guy who's like won all the time and stuff, wins everything they do, and it's also, that's not the person I want to deal with. Right?
No,
it's the person who's. The whole Theodore Roosevelt quote, it's not the man, it's the man of the arena and all that crap. Yeah. And only to say is like, you got to be willing to make that sacrifice, put in the work. And I say that put in the work. You want to be the best shooter?
Yeah.
Cool, man. Go put in the work.
But it's the process. And and this is the problem people and society everywhere, anything in life is people get tied into the outcome. Instead of process.
Absolutely.
And if you love process, if I fall in love with the process, I understand it's always going to be steps back in the process. Like, hey, I'm going to take 2 steps forward and maybe get knocked back 1 as I'm going forward, but I'm loving the process. Now, don't get me wrong, I still have my end goal. I still have a goal at the end,
yeah.
but I have to love the process. I have to love the grind of, hey, I'm getting up and I'm going to train and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then you shoot a comp and you don't do well and you're like, oh man. And hey, it's part of the process, dude. It happens.
Exactly.
Okay, that's the process.
And and again, that's that kind of thing. Like, I love watching people fall on their face, because I don't care that you fell on your face. I want to see what you do with that. And I love telling people, like, imagine if little kids learning how to walk approach that the way we approach so many things in our lives. I tried 3 times, I'm done. Imagine if my son did that, learning to walk. We never get there.
No.
So it's just, like you said, part of the process. And,
and building in greatness.
So we all say in any major company, any major thing, and he's great, right? And we always go with, hey, that guy and this guy and this guy. And even in sports, I mean, you name any major athlete, you can say, hey, that guy, but where do they get without? And I don't like saying my team. I'm more like, hey, the team he's a part of, because you don't. People like, oh, he works for me. No, y'all work with each other.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
that's a big thing.
You can spot that in a person right away. Like, I could, I did this, I did that, or we did this. Right? Where do you put that emphasis?
Like, especially when you have businesses, and I can attest to that with Carolina Ballistics. Like, this business would not be functional if I was the only one doing things. And that's a wholehearted fact. If it wasn't for the social media influencers or the web designer, we had Bree on last week. If it wasn't for them, or if it wasn't for Justin, I wouldn't have met you. You know what I'm saying? So there's just so many people that are involved in developing a business. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And
it's a community.
No one makes greatness by yourself.
No,
exactly.
Nobody. Yeah.
And
all right, guys. Well, we have just pushed the time limit. This is really cool. I've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for coming through.
You have anything coming up that you want to put out or not?
Just I'm trying to think. Nothing significant on the top of my head. I just hope that I hope you guys had a good time talking. Thanks for having me on. Man, you just keep going all day.
This literally could have went on for another hour. This was really good.
Again, having met you not that long ago, Dan, I just want to say thanks again. I can't thank you enough for what you're doing and appreciate what you're doing, because again, we take nothing and here we are. And it's just kind of cool to have that. And, build, man. That's like constantly striving for that.
That's what it's all about. Alrighty, guys. This is Sam Castillo of the Rock Guns, guys. Please check him out. He's down there on Yadkin Road here in Fayetteville. He's one of the pillars in the community. Myself, David Harris, we are Carolina Ballistics and Training Academy, and we are